Well, the referral flywheel is based on the concept that the trust that you build with your clients is what is going to build your momentum in your business. That is where they're going to talk about you to other people instead of telling people to just pick an agent. They're going to say, no, I love this agent because she did what I needed her to do, and she communicated with me and she worked for me. So that's what's going to build your momentum, is that trust that you have with people.
Hi there, welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. I am thrilled about today. We have a phenomenal guest on the show who is going to pour all kinds of wisdom into your life. I've been very much looking forward to this conversation. In my hands, I hold her brand new book, Building a Real Estate Business That Lasts: Systems, Ethics, and Strategy for Agents That Want to Stay in the Saddle. I am very excited to have you on the show today, Megan VonDeylen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be a good conversation. And, we just want to help agents here. And the first time I met you was sitting at dinner in Oklahoma City. I don't know if you even remember. I was the little guy at the table. But you've got this brand everywhere you go. I see you in a cowboy hat. It's on the cover of your book. You've got Staying in the Saddle. Back of the book, there you are. Talk to me about what's the cowboy hat?
So the cowboy hat is actually pretty authentic. When I first got started in real estate, I was told to shrink that, to stay away from that because nobody would like it. And what ended up happening is that because we are a rodeo family, I actually came from a rodeo to an event, and my hair was, of course, a mess from being in a hat all day. So I just left it on. And I was more myself than I had been anywhere else, and had more conversations with people that actually were good conversations instead of surface conversations. And so I just decided from then on out that the authenticity needed to be there. And since that point, I actually have encouraged other agents to be more authentic to who they are. So it's something that I fully believe helps you to be a better agent. If you're too worried about the image that you're portraying, then you're worried about something that's not helping your transaction at all, or your communication.
Wow. We already have notes. Look at that. You already have a takeaway. We can end it now. We can end the podcast, and you already have a takeaway. Because I totally agree with you that, too many agents, they're putting out this fake persona on social media, and then they're a totally fake person, right? I love the authenticity, and we're going to talk more about relationship building. It's part of your book, and so I know authenticity is a big part of that. But I've got to know, how did your family get into doing rodeos?
So for me personally, it started when my dad was 12 years old. He went to a neighbor who had Welsh ponies that needed broke out, and he was the right size. So him and his brothers helped the neighbor break out Welsh ponies. My dad got bit by the bug and eventually ended up owning a racehorse farm. Over 100 head at one point. They were breeding and training racehorses. Our folks that exercised our horses were mostly barrel racers, and most of the jockeys he hired were bull riders. So they wanted to take this cute little pigtail girl with them to their rodeos, and I ended up behind the chutes more often than not as I was growing up. Got bit by the bug at that and started participating in rodeos. When I had kids, my husband, his family, his dad had also been involved in rodeos, raised him in rodeos. So we raised our kids in rodeo too. So
that is so cool.
Yeah. So it's something that I just grew up with.
Is it a family thing? Like every rodeo, are you all there together?
Not all of us anymore, because my oldest is 24. Our middle child's 22. They live in Illinois and Wisconsin. And so they don't come because they have their own families and their own things going on. But our 19-year-old son and our 18-year-old son that we just took in, he's our son now.
Yeah.
But that's so part of our operations basically is helping. We do have a nonprofit helping youth with the sport of rodeo, teaching youth the sport of rodeo.
Wow.
And so we inevitably end up with, I would say, probably anywhere from 4 to 5 teenage boys at our house every night plus. And
Wow.
we very firmly believe, and we try to help others develop this feeling that your family is who you choose to have around you. Part of the
Yeah,
reason we do that is because those kids, and I feel like agents can benefit from this too. The people that you have around you help build who you are.
that's right.
And so we encourage them to have the people around them that uplift them and feel more like family sometimes than the people that actually are blood relatives. So
Wow.
that's how we ended up with an 18-year-old that isn't ours by blood, but we chose to have him here. So we
That's awesome.
we do take family with us everywhere, but sometimes they're chosen family and not blood.
Yeah. I
So,
absolutely love that. Okay. So then real estate, how
mhm.
did we get here in real estate? What's your background, and how long have you been doing this? What are you selling? What's your business focused on?
My business is mostly rural because the area I'm in. I've been in real estate since 2008. When our kids were young, we were looking for a house to buy because we'd been at the family homestead, keeping that going, and just we couldn't afford it. My parents had gotten over mortgaged in all the
Mm.
crazy stuff that had happened in 2005 to 2007. And I had been looking for a place for a while, and my agent says to me, you dig up almost as much information on these houses as I do. You know more about them than I do before we get here. She said, you would be good at this. Why don't you think about it? So I did. And I got my license, and I cut my teeth on the downturn, crawling in basement windows of repos, and just digging up whatever dirt I could on them. And it's been quite the journey. And I've learned quite a bit along the way, including, like I said, authenticity is what really helps drive your business to being something that lasts. Uh, and it's just one of those things where I've been doing it long enough that it's just second nature. It helped me to be more
Yeah.
available for my kids as they were growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I always think that real estate, I mean, there are a lot of women in real estate, right? I think
Mhm.
industry is more female than it is male, but I think it's a great job for moms.
Mhm.
I really truly believe that. What was your experience with that?
I took my kids everywhere. I fired a client because he got mad that I had my kids with me. A lot of times I would leave them in the vehicle with, whatever electronic devices. And that was about the only time. We didn't have TV at home. That was the only time they were really allowed to watch that kind of stuff. So it helped to keep them quiet. And when I had clients that welcomed them in the house with, and they came in with, and it turned into them opening lock boxes. Two of
Yep.
my oldest daughter sold real estate for 3 years. Her license is in
Wow.
referral status right now. My middle daughter took the class. My son took the class, and neither one of them decided to get licensed, but they've all been there along the journey with me. And it is something that I do encourage females who have kids. If your clients aren't okay with you bringing your kids with when you need to, then they may not be the clients for you.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. Okay. So you got in 2008. Now,
mhm.
2008, I was in the business back in 2008. I got in 2006, and I remember 2008 was a really easy year in the real estate business. Like, no. How did you break into real estate in 2008?
Well, the broker that I had at the time was actually, she did help me out quite a bit because I was able to take quite a few clients that she didn't necessarily have time for. So that helped me to kind of cut my teeth a little bit. They were
Okay.
mostly cash buyers looking for repos. I segued into listing repos from that, and um, just kind of heavily relied on my sphere of influence, which is one of the topics that I speak and teach on, is being able to build and use your sphere of influence in ways that not only benefit your business, but benefit you as a person in them too.
Wow.
So, but yeah,
Okay.
it was a crazy year.
It was a crazy several years,
It
honestly. I mean,
was.
that crash, I was blessed to crash with it.
Okay.
And I say blessed, I say that a little tongue in cheek, but honestly, I look back at the lessons learned through losing everything during that crash, and I'm better for it. I think sometimes the struggles we go through make us, I don't think sometimes, I think all the time, the struggle that we go through, it actually makes us better. And so I definitely got better during that time. But this transitions well, talking sphere of influence, it transitions into the book. So you just released the book. Tell me, what prompted writing the book?
I've been teaching other agents for years, mostly helping agents build their businesses and mentoring. So the idea actually came to me from an agent I was mentoring. They said, you have so much knowledge, you should write a book about this. So that was before I got my broker's license. That was probably back in 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. And I dabbled with it for years and would write a little bit here and write a little bit there. But I just recently got real serious about it and decided I was going to pull it all together and publish it, because it just felt like the right time.
Very good. Well, so I've not read the whole book. I've gotten to scan the book. I actually just got it in the mail in the last couple of days. So, and it did just come out. I think you released it in the last week or 2 weeks at the time we're recording this. But okay, so you talk a lot about systems, ethics. You talk about referrals, relationship building, and I kind of want to hit on all of this and just glean some wisdom for our audience today. Let's start with the ethical advantage. I love how you presented this. I got through the ethics chapter in the book, and you talk about the ethical advantage. What is that advantage, or the edge, ethical edge? What is that edge?
The ethical edge is, to me, and I tried to convey this in the book, it's the edge that you get when, the easiest way to explain it to me is, if you're honest, you don't have to remember a lie.
That's right.
So if you are being ethical and upholding your business, it's going to compound, because not only do you not have to remember a lie, you don't have to remember getting caught, or you don't have to avoid getting caught for the lie that you told. And people are going to remember that about you, that you did what was right in the situation, what was ethical. And I get so many referrals because I do the right thing. And I just had something yesterday where a seller called me about something. I explained it to him when we had the listing appointment. I didn't explain it in a way where I made sure they understood me. And I took full blame for that. I told them, like, that's my bad. I should have made sure that you completely understood this. And those kinds of things are what really can, like you said, they can, that's a struggle that you can either make or break your business with, because if you try to turn it around and pin it back on them again, you're not going to get anywhere with that. But if you admit that, that was your mistake and you go to fix it, then that's where it really speaks to your character, and it helps to build your business, because people appreciate that. They appreciate when you can admit something that you've done wrong, or you do something the right way, even though it's not something that is going to benefit you.
Yeah. Well, and I think professionals, okay, so we're in a business where, and I just talked about this on another episode recently about the professionalism in the industry. And I think ethics plays so much into the poor view that the public has on our industry, because we do so many things that benefit us as agents, but we don't always do the right thing. And when I say we, I'm talking in generalities, because I believe the reason that you've been so successful, the reason that I've been successful, is we've chosen not to do business that way. But I want to see the industry, the level of professionalism, the level of ethical behavior in the business elevated. But let's be honest, sometimes making decisions that are going to benefit our buyer actually cost us money. And you actually talk about this in the book. Talk to me about how we make the right decision.
Oh, it's tough. It's so tough, because you can see the difference between where your wallet's going to get hit. And but the best thing to remember when you're trying to make that decision is that it may not feel good in the moment, that you're losing out on something, but down the road, you're going to look back at it and you're going to appreciate yourself and you're going to build your business from having done the right thing. And it's one of those things where in the moment, you have to set your feelings about it aside and do what you know is right. And I guess that's the best way I can explain it. You have to set
Yeah.
everything else aside and just look at what's right to do in the moment.
So you talk in the book about the filters that we use. What do we do to filter in those situations and know what questions we should be asking to make the right decisions for our clients?
So when you're running, I explain in there that there's 3 main filters that you want to run yourself through and run through your head. And the biggest thing is that you have to, like I said, you have to remove the commission side of it. And that's one of the things you ask yourself. If money was not involved in this whatsoever, what decision would I make? If everybody knew what I'm doing right now, would I be able to live with myself and go to bed tonight with a clear head and a good conscience? And it's back to the lies again. Would you be able to fully explain it to your client without tripping over yourself because you're telling lies? Would you be comfortable with what you're talking to your client about and not be tripped up on trying to remember lies? So that's the 3 things that I tell agents, when they're thinking about how to make a decision. You have to remove the money. You have to be able to go to bed at night, and you have to be fully comfortable discussing it with your client over and over and over again, discussing it with anybody over and over again without having to try to remember lies that you told. It's easier to remember the truth because you lived it.
That's right. I love that. And I love the 3 filters. So when we, when we go through this process of, filtering out, making sure, am I doing what's absolutely best for the clients? I think it goes back to the very conversation we had in the beginning. It's authenticity, right? You are truly being your authentic self. And listen, if your authentic self is okay with telling the little white lie, because we're in an industry where it's really, oh yeah, I called them, they haven't called me back. It's really easy to tell the little white lie in our industry. But if you're a truly authentic person, and authenticity to you is always doing what's best for your client, I think that's how you build a long-term business of trust. And you do talk about this. And we are going to talk about referrals here in a second. But before we get there, I want to talk and get your thoughts on being reactionary, because it feels like so much of our industry, agents are very reactionary. So how do we beat this? I mean, stuff's coming at us all day long and we have to react. How do we beat this?
The first thing is to take a deep breath anytime something big hits you and you feel that sinking feeling or you feel that moment of elation. You got to, either way, whether it's a good or a bad thing that's coming at you, you've got to take that deep breath, and you kind of have to be able to remove your own emotion from it, because this is one deal for you. Yeah, it may turn into more with referrals, but this is a one-time thing for you for the most part. It's one transaction as an agent. But for your client, it's a financial impact on their life that is going to be long-lasting. So you have to be able to remove that emotion that you personally have from the decision that you're making, from the reaction that you're having. And somewhat being reactionary is somewhat good if you're returning communication promptly. But as far as when you get that text message from another agent and you read it and think, well, gosh, they're being rude. Honestly, you don't know that they're being rude, because they could have just fired it off quickly and not thought about how they phrased it. Again, they may have been being reactionary. So when you remove that emotion on the agent side of it, it gives you the better equipment to be able to handle things correctly for your client, because you've removed your own emotion and you're working from a place of logic.
Love it. Okay. So I think very much fitting into that is systems, which you talk a lot about. how do systems come into this?
Systems they're important for a lot of things in life, but when you're building a business, they're especially important because when you don't have the systems for follow-up, when you don't have the systems for explaining things to your client, everything gets jumbled everywhere. And that makes you more reactionary because you're having to put out fires instead of being proactive and sending communication ahead of time. You're sitting here reacting to everything, and it can really drive your mental state to a bad place. So systems help you avoid the mental fatigue that comes with a fast-paced career.
So help me. I'm not a very systematic person. And I'm not just asking this hypothetically. I literally am not a very systematic person. I do have systems that I've built in my business over the years and that I teach. However, if I'm an agent, I don't have a lot of systems. Where do I start? What's the first thing that I need to focus on in my business?
Well, first thing you can do is buy the book because it has a whole toolkit that you can go download with it that helps you build those systems. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted the free downloads, because it's great to talk about systems, but actually being able to implement them is where the important part comes in your business. And I have the toolkit that allows you to download those and then use those to build your own systems. So you have to
that's
pick
awesome.
what works for you.
Now I'm going to go looking for the downloads because I must have missed that part or I hadn't gotten there yet. But hey, this part of the program is brought to you by Building a Real Estate Business at Last. No, but okay. So I love that. How, if someone's listening, they need to get the book, and we will come back to this, but then what's the first thing you're going to tell me I need to get going in my business when it comes to my systems?
So the first thing that you need to get going, I mean, it depends on where you're at in your business, honestly.
Yeah.
If you're just starting, then of course you want the systems for reaching out to your sphere and letting them know that this is what your new business is, and how they can get a hold of you. So those are going to be your foundational, is your communication systems with your clients, and those can be built from the communications system that you put in place for your sphere of influence to make sure that you're reaching out to them, and then you could just build on that for your communication back and forth with your clients. So I guess communication systems will be the very first thing, really.
Yeah, that's so critical. And if you're out there right now and you don't have a way to consistently and systematically be communicating with people, I would wholeheartedly agree. Like that is the most important thing we do on a daily basis. And it's oftentimes the number one thing that we forget, right? Or that we get overwhelmed and reactionary by everything else. And then we let our communication go by the wayside. So what about technology? Where does technology come into all of this?
Oh my goodness, there's so much technology out there. Your communication systems, your technology, all of it's going to be based on your comfort level and what works for you. And we've heard this a million times in our industry. People say, what's the best CRM out there? Well, the best CRM is the one that you're going to use. So
Amen.
If you pick one that is way too technologically advanced for your level, then you're never going to use it. So as far as technology goes, you're going to want to start with what is at a level that you're comfortable with. And then if you choose to learn more from there, which is always a good thing when you're building a business in any industry, is to learn more technology, then you scale from there and add more things in. But you want to pick the first one to pick is your communication system as far as technology goes. Are you using a spreadsheet, a notebook, a CRM that's online, a cloud system, whatever you're comfortable with? Start with that, because you have to start at your comfort level and then move from there.
Yeah. One of my favorite people, older guy in the industry, he still has one of the calendars on his desk with all the days. And if he promises that he's going to call you in 3 weeks, he goes 3 weeks down in the calendar, writes your name down, and like clockwork will call you that day. But that's a communication system, right? And that's what works for him. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. Whatever system you will use, I don't care if it's a spreadsheet or a paper calendar on your desk or whatever the case is, Lofty or Bold Trail, or if you're with Keller and you have Command, whatever you have access to and will commit to using, that's the best one to use.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Okay. I have built a business on referrals, right? You have built a business on referrals. You teach the referral flywheel. I love the concept, but I want you to explain the concept to our audience and then tell us how we do it.
Okay. Well, the referral flywheel is based on the concept that the trust that you build with your clients is what is going to build your momentum in your business. That is where they're going to talk about you to other people instead of telling people to just pick an agent. They're going to say, no, I love this agent because she did what I needed her to do. And she communicated with me and she worked for me. So that's what's going to build your momentum, is that trust that you have with people. And that's what I talk about in the book with the referral flywheel. So when you have clients that you can work with really well and your focus is on making sure that the transaction is one that they're comfortable with. They're not stressed out because they don't know what's going on. They're comfortable with where you're at in the process. They feel like you're working for them. You communicated with them and you made sure that you were making decisions based on ethics and not feelings. Then they're going to remember that. That's where your referrals are going to come from. It's just by doing the right thing and making sure that you're protecting your clients.
So then, let's just say after closing, you've done a great job for them. They've seen you're highly ethical. They've really built a lot of trust with you. How do you keep them from, being one of the statistical anomalies in our industry where I don't even know if it's an anomaly. It's actually more common than not, where 5 years from now, they can't even remember your name. How do they remember you throughout the years? What are you doing to stay in touch with people?
I have a few things. I don't really do the house anniversary things. I concentrate more on the person themselves. So birthdays, anniversaries,
Love it.
A lot of just general check-ins. One of the things that I do, and I've mentioned this, I think I might have put it in the book. I don't remember what all I put in there because I cut so many things for length. But one of the things that I do is I will check in with folks a day, 2 days after closing or after they've taken possession. Basically, I'll check in with them either the day or a day after they've taken possession and just ask them how it's going, because that question will either be answered by everything's great and there won't be anything, but 9 times out of 10, there's a need. Well, we moved in and we found this, and we figured out we're going to need this. And so I have a spreadsheet of vendors that I can be like, I know somebody that can help you with that.
Yeah.
And so then I've turned into a person that not only helps them with their real estate transaction, but every time they have a question about something in the area, need something for their home, a vendor for something, they'll call me because I tell them all the time, my phone number hasn't changed in over 20 years and it's not going to.
It's not. We are in a world where we can't afford to change our numbers anymore. I've had mine since college. I can't imagine changing my number at this point in my life. So, okay. This is awesome. All kinds of great information. And again, I highly encourage you. One of the things I love about the book, you say you cut a lot for length, but so far where I am about halfway through, every page has something I can apply to my business today. And that's what I love about the book. So this is my encouragement. If you're out there, you need to get this book. And it's available on Amazon, Building a Real Estate Business That Lasts by Megan VonDeylen. Is there anything that we've missed about the book that you want our audience to know about?
Well, I think the concept that you're getting at is right on. Sorry, my text messages pop up on my computer.
Yeah.
I was trying to ignore it.
No emergencies, right?
No, I just forgot to go in and sign a papers to add somebody to an account for one of the nonprofits that I help run.
Oh,
But anyways, that's because I don't have a system for it. So I forgot.
that's right. Well, see, look, now we're educating the audience on what happens when you don't have a system.
Yep.
No, that's good.
But
Hey, folks,
the biggest,
Megan's a real person. Like,
yep.
she's a real person. Like, this is okay.
So the biggest thing to me with this book is there's a bunch of books out there on how to lead gen, how to follow up with people, but there's very few of them that actually teach you how to build your systems and how to run your business. Most of them are a lot of fluff, and this one's not. So that's the biggest thing about it to me. And when I was writing it, that's what I wanted, was it to be actionable, something that people can actually refer back to and use in their day-to-day business building. So,
well, like I said, it's not like, I love ninja selling. Larry Kendall's one of my favorite people, but that book is that thick. And there's a lot that he teaches, a lot of concepts. Whereas this one, it's a very quick read, but it's one that you will reference back to because, like I said, every page has something that you can apply to your business in it. And now I have to go find the resources. We'll talk about where to get those. But I love the book. Where can people get the book?
So it's on Amazon, but if they don't feel like flipping through Amazon to look for it, because when you search for something on Amazon, you very rarely come up with the one thing you were looking for.
Right.
They can go to meganvondeylen.com, and I have a link right from there to the Amazon, or to the book on Amazon. So
okay, awesome.
Yep.
So that makes it very easy. Now, the last real estate related thing I want to talk to before I ask you my 5 questions that I ask every guest. You do a lot with rural property, and I started thinking, we don't have a lot of agents on that are specialists in rural property. But you've been doing it for so long. I wanted to just glean some wisdom from you about the rural market and things that we should be thinking about. So talk to me about your experience selling rural real estate.
Rural real estate, it's a different animal than metro. You've got wells, you've got septics, you've got old barns, you've got a foundation from a house that was knocked down 60 years ago and nobody realized the foundation was still there. You've got buried oil tanks that are no longer functional, but they're on the property, and the EPA knows about them. So there's a lot more that goes into it that's a completely different. I mean, granted, you don't have HOAs with having to remember the CCRs and figure those out, but actually we do, because we have a lot of lakes in this area. But
yeah, right.
There's a lot more that goes into rural real estate that agents don't think about on the daily unless they're out here in the trenches. And that was one of the reasons why I went ahead and built a system that agents can learn from, that I'm going to be launching the end of this week, called the Rural Agent System. And it is the same as the book as far as giving you actionable steps that you can use to build your systems to make sure that you're taking all of these things into account. And when you have your orientation with your buyers to begin with, you can go over these are the things that we need to look for based on your financing, based on what you're looking for in a property. So, you can go through each of those with them and ask them what's important to them, and then be able to convey to them the things you need to look for while you're looking at properties. So there's a whole lot to it, but
I love that. So what format are you releasing the Rural Agent System?
It is going to be, they're going to be downloads that you can purchase. So they'll be PDF downloads, and they are much the same as the toolkit that you can get from the book, where it's something that has actual pages that you can print out to use when you're in the trenches yourself. So
I love it. I've got some experience with rural properties, but certainly it is something that as an agent, I don't do every day. And so that sounds like great material, the Rural Agent System, and that's going to be available on your website.
Yep. There's a link from that on my website to go to that too. So
your website again is meganvondeylen.com. Okay. So I'm going to spell this for our audience, and maybe we'll put it at the bottom of the screen here too. Megan, although some people are listening on, podcast. So MEGAN, Megan VonDeylen, VonDeylen, MeganVonDeylen.com. So you can get the book there, the link to the Amazon page where you can buy the book. The Rural Agent System going to be launching soon. When does that come out, Megan?
I'm going to hope to push the button on Friday to launch it. I've got to make sure everything's functional first, because I won't launch something that you can't actually purchase.
That should be about the day that this podcast is coming out. So if you're listening to this today, hopefully it's out today. If not, I'm sure it'll be out in the next few days. Mm-hmm. So Megan, go ahead.
There is, if you link through to it now, right now it is set up so that you can sign up to get an email when it is released. So if this podcast does launch today and agents want to go ahead and get on that list, they can still go to my website, click the button for the Rural Agent System, and send their email address to me so that I'm able to go ahead and shoot them an email as soon as it's live and able to be purchased.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so I have 5 questions that I ask every one of my guests, and I don't give these to you in advance. So I'm going to put you on the spot today, but it's going to help us get to know a little bit more about you and your life experiences. So first question is, who has been the greatest influence on your life? The person that you would say, if it wasn't for this person, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Oh, that honestly is something that's changed throughout my life. Because you go through seasons and you learn from different people. But I would say one of the biggest influences growing up that still sticks with me, it was a gentleman that worked on our farm, our quarter horse racing farm. And we did have thoroughbreds too, but I digress. It didn't matter what his kids needed. He would work to make sure that he had the money for it. He's one of those guys that he didn't sit there and do woe is me. He would just dig in and make it happen. So I really, really clung to that when I learned that lesson from him, not from him telling me, but from watching him. So, and he would sit there and watch 4 or 5 of us kids while he was cleaning out stalls and moving horses around, and he never lost track of a kid, a horse, nothing. So he just was one of those guys that he was going to make it happen. And that instilled a really good work ethic in me.
That's awesome. So you obviously have work ethic because you've been successful coming into the business in 2008, which takes a ton of bravery. But if you could go back to that first year that you were in the business, what advice would you give yourself?
To throw that whole image thing out the window and to stick to my authentic self, because it was much tougher to build a business back then trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest advice I would give to myself if I could from 2008 is to be authentic to who I am, because that's going to attract the right people to me. And I'm not going to be, I sold so many lake houses and I'm not a lake house person.
Yeah, I get that. I can understand that. Wait, I don't know if we said this, you're in Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you'd be in Southwest Michigan?
Kind of right in the middle, actually, of the southern part of the state. So I'm right there by the Ohio, Michigan, Indiana border. And we have a ton of lakes in the entire state, but the area I'm in has a lot of lakes that people from Chicago, Detroit, Toledo, they all come to buy a second lake home property out in this area. So we have $1 million lake homes, $1 million farms, and $100,000 little houses on an acre or less,
Wow.
Well, those are $200,000 now.
Right. Yeah, we were just talking about how much prices have gone up in a recent conversation. But my wife is from Michigan. Now, I forgave her for it. I'm in Ohio, so but no. But
I forgave my husband for being from Ohio.
Oh, okay. Well, I love your husband. He sounds like a really good guy. See, you stole one to Michigan, and I had to balance it out by stealing one into Ohio. So
there you go.
Okay, so next question is, what is one life lesson that you've learned the hard way that you wish you had known sooner?
Real estate related or in general?
Just in general.
Goodness. I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way over the years.
I know. That's the challenge of this question. Which one?
Oh, I'm going to go back to the authenticity. When I was trying to
Yeah.
remember who I was supposed to be, it was just so nerve wracking all the time. Being who I
Yep.
really am authentically is the has been the easiest for me as far as just, I don't know, it just makes life easier for you
Yep.
when you're just true to who you are and you make decisions based off that and you don't try to impress people. And so the authenticity is where it's at, man. I'm going to answer the
Yeah. I
second
love it.
question with the
And that's
same thing.
okay. That is okay. That is okay. Okay. So a lot of times on this show, I mean, we say that we want to help you achieve ultimate success. That's what we're
Mhm.
here to help our agents do, live their best lives and achieve ultimate success. But everyone defines ultimate success a little bit differently for themselves. And so
Mhm.
I want to know, how do you define ultimate success for Megan?
For me, it's basically just myself and my family being happy and where we are.
Yeah.
You always want to have a growth mindset, regardless when you own a business, and we own multiple businesses. So you want to, constantly be striving for that growth, but being able to be happy where you are and know that that growth is going to happen because you're going to work for it. That's success to me. I don't need $1 million in the bank. What good's it going to do me? You know, I just need my family and myself to be happy with where we are right now and know that better things will come too. So,
I love it.
mm.
Well, last question. I want to know, do you have a daily routine that you go through?
um, kind of, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, it starts off the same every morning, other than the weekends. Well, I kick my husband out of bed after his hour of alarms go off. Um,
Hopefully that's not like 4 a.m. or something.
4:30. They start going off at
Oh my
4:30. So
goodness.
by 5:30, I kick him out, go make my coffee, help him with letting the dogs out. Um, and usually I will make myself ignore messages and emails and just kind of, I honestly, the first half hour after I get my coffee, I sit down and I make myself just play a game. And it's silly, and they're usually like some sort of those games where you have to, they're a skill level game where you're building your
Yeah.
skill levels, you're making matches, or it's silly games, but there's still things that make you think. And I feel like that kind of sets my mind for the rest of the day because I've gotten the gears grinding and going the
Yep.
right way and get everything oiled up so that once I do start looking through emails, it's not a whole blur. I've actually got my mind going for the morning. So kind of sounds silly to sit and play games for a half an hour until you realize that it gets the juices flowing and that everything oiled
Yeah.
up so that you're actually thinking on all cylinders before you start answering people for the day.
Yep. Absolutely. Kind of important in our business.
Hmm. Yep. And I will actually right around lunchtime drop all the, unless I'm in the middle of a phone conversation or something, I'll step away from all the emails in the business and play a game again because I need to
That's good.
refocus.
Yep.
And that's one thing I have. I'm on the spectrum, and my kids are. I only one of them's not on the spectrum, and so that's one thing that has been a real big theme throughout raising my kids and building my business is refocusing on what's important. And sometimes you need to take that step back and do something that just kind of clears your mind and you are able to refocus and move forward.
I think that is a great lesson for anyone listening, that we need moments through the day, whether it's games, which my wife has really gotten into the online games, like the puzzles and stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
to just keep her mind moving and challenge her thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. Or it might be meditation or prayer
Mm-hmm.
or reading something that's positive and encouraging that helps you just recenter your mind. Or one of the best things that I have a really hard time doing, I know this will surprise everyone, but I have a hard time sitting quiet. And sometimes just sitting quiet and letting your mind be recentered goes so far for your productivity in the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
day. So I love that. I've never thought of games, but it makes perfect sense. And recognizing being on the spectrum, was that something that you learned later in life, or did you learn
Mm-hmm.
that early in life?
Yeah, I've shared this with you before the podcast, but I'm completely deaf in my left ear, and I
Yep.
have tonal losses in my right. I had extremely high fever when I had spinal meningitis at 17 months old. And
Yep.
so that masked all of the ADHD, autistic, all those symptoms of me
Mhm.
being on the spectrum, because it was just always blamed on my hearing. So it
Wow.
wasn't until I had to figure out what was going on with my middle child, because my first one is neurotypical. She's completely, never had these issues with her, but I had this baby that if it was too loud, she literally would just go catatonic. She would lay there with her eyes
Wow.
wide open and wouldn't react. She wouldn't cry. She wouldn't do anything if the situation was too loud, but she has, amplified hearing. So,
Mm.
if the room was too loud, she just went catatonic. So,
Wow.
there were other things that happened as she was growing up that, I was lucky. My youngest brother married a gal that has a PhD and learning, not just learning disabilities, but different things that are on the spectrum, all of the things. And
Wow.
I forget what the actual title of it is, but, she just took my girl shopping one day, and, she was able to diagnose my daughter without my daughter realizing what was going on, just by going shopping with her. So that
Wow.
helped us to kind of hone in on things we could do to help her, be more successful. She never had an IEP. She's still not officially diagnosed. Neither is my son. We relied very heavily on my sister-in-law. And through figuring those things out with my kids, I figured out that, oh yeah, a lot of the things that were blamed on my hearing are actually because that's where they got it from. Because both my middle daughter and my youngest, my son, my biological youngest, they have different dads. So if you're looking at genetic markers, there's no way they both got it,
Wow.
because my ex-husband's neurotypical, and my husband is ADHD very much so. And
Mm.
the military helped him straighten that out.
Yeah, right. I've
But
heard
yeah,
that helps. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, very structured. So that's one
Wow.
of the reasons why we have that structure in the morning. Once he gets out the door, the structure kind of starts to fade, because I'm not a very structured person, which that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I have to put these systems in place. I learned the hard way that I was just going to stay stagnant in my business if I didn't have systems in place that I made myself use.
So interesting. I mean, I said it earlier. I'm not a very structured or systematic person. It's not in my nature. But in order for me to be most effective and
Hmm.
produce at my highest level, I've had to learn to put the structures in place, and it's
Hmm.
changed my life. So, well, I think you've given us a lot to go on today. I know I will go back and listen to this and have plenty of notes to go off of. And hopefully, if you're listening or watching, you get the same as well. Before we go, I want to do a review of where to get the book and where to follow Megan. Megan, give us all the ways that we can follow you.
So if you go to my website, meganvondeylen.com, there's a link to go get the book. There's a link for the rural agent system. There's a link to connect with me, to book me for speaking and teaching. There's also my social media links on there. So you can link right from my website to get a hold of me everywhere. My email's on there, my phone number, everything. So you could just go right onto my website, get what you want to get.
Awesome. Well, Megan, thank you so much for being here today. The book, Building a Real Estate Business That Lasts: Systems, Ethics, and Strategy for Agents Who Want to Stay in the Saddle. Megan, I've so enjoyed our conversation today, and I hope we get to do it again. And I know I'll
Mhm.
be seeing you soon. I think we're going to be at one of the same conferences together here very soon. So
Mhm.
bless you and your family. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being on Real Life and Real Estate today. And for all of you out there listening, thank you for being a part of our audience. I'm so grateful for everyone that listens, that comments, that sends us messages. We are so grateful for that. Remember, you can find me at itsmarkpeebles.com, and there is where you can find the Ultimate Success Framework, 100 Days to 100K online course, which is also going to help you implement systems and build relationships. I'll tell you, you've got great resources between the book, or if you want to watch something, go and find Ultimate Success Framework. But overall, Megan, I love her heart to help you be better. That is my heart as well. And so I hope this week has been impactful to you, that you've walked away with some notes and some things that you can implement to live a better life and really keep moving towards ultimate success. Have a great week. Bye.